Breaking tonight, the Menendez brothers one step closer to freedom. Late today, a Los Angeles judge resentenced the convicted killers, their loved ones celebrating the decision.
I have been crying all day long, so these are tears of joy for sure, and we're very excited.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. That ruling by a Los Angeles judge today makes Eric and Lyle Menendez eligible for parole. Until this decision, the brothers had been facing life sentences without parole for the murders of their parents inside their Beverly Hills home. Family members who've been pushing for their release celebrated after today's ruling. The brothers, who admit they killed their parents, have been in prison for 3 decades now. They say they shot their parents to death in self-defense after years of abuse by their father.
Tell you, it's a whole different world we live in now, and one of the things that I think is important is to recognize that, like the legislature has done, we have evolved. This is not the 90s anymore. We have a more robust understanding of a lot of things. I just know that on a day like today, that redemption is possible.
Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman opposed resentencing, arguing the Menendez brothers had not shown proper insight into their crimes.
We have said with respect to resentencing that our position is not no, or it's not never, it's not yet. And the reason we said that is that the Menendez brothers have failed to come clean with the full extent of their criminal conduct, their cover-up, their lies, and their deceit over the past 30 years.
Let's get some more perspective tonight on this huge ruling by a judge today in L.A. This breaking story we're following tonight. Let's bring in our legal analyst, Michael Cardoza, for more. Michael, it's great to have you on. What do you make of this ruling by the judge? Why do you believe the judge has decided to give the Menendez brothers at least a chance at freedom?
Well, I think when Mr. Gargo spoke, he's somewhat spot on. What's happened is this case is culturally symbolic. Our culture has changed. Legally, it's certainly significant. And I would imagine some of the jurors that found them guilty and found the punishment, the LWOP, the life without possibility of parole, when that was imposed, I would imagine they're asking themselves, why did I do that? Why did you ask for my opinion? If a court's going to rule this some 30 plus years later and reverse it. So we have seen a cultural change. And the best I can tell you is the judge is trying to keep up with the cultural change. Remember, in the first trial, the jury hung on degree. In other words, they couldn't decide whether it was a second degree or a manslaughter. And in that first trial, they let in all the evidence about the abuse that the Menendez brothers suffered. Then, after that jury hung, they went to a second trial, and that jury did not hear, because the judge kept it out, all the child abuse that happened. And that jury came back with a first-degree murder and life without possibility of parole. So the best I can tell you, Alex, is that this is a cultural change. It's symbolic culturally.
Yeah, absolutely. Politics certainly playing a role here. And with that being said, we heard the new, or relatively new, Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman making the argument in opposition to the brothers being resentenced, essentially saying that they have failed to fully take responsibility for their crimes. Why do you think that argument fell flat for the judge here?
Well, you had a lot of people talking about their changing, their thinking. And keep in mind, when they committed the crime, and I'm not advocating for either side, but they were 18 years old and 21-year-olds at the time. And we know that that frontal lobe of the brain now doesn't develop fully, and that's the executive thinking, until we become about 25, 26 years old. So that's one of the arguments that they used. And one of the big things, I think, was that Netflix documentary that got the public really involved with this case. And, public opinion was very passionate and very outspoken. And I think that had a lot of influence, even though it's not supposed to. on the final outcome of what's happening. But keep in mind, because the judge reduced it to a 50 to life,
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're going to get out.
No,
Their
right.
parole hearing is in June. And if they do say they've served enough time because they served over 30,
Yeah.
then they will get out. But the governor has a right to veto it all. So he could do it. And we know with his
Right.
aspirations for presidency, he may overrule it.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Still a lot of factors to consider in all this, but let's talk here as we wrap up about what comes next here, because obviously there still is this final hurdle that the Menendez brothers have to get over, and that is they have to have the California State Parole Board decide that they should be released. We know the Parole Board is doing their risk assessment right now to figure out if release is appropriate here. They have a hearing scheduled for next month. This was previously scheduled here. Does the fact that a judge has ruled in favor of resentencing, does that factor into this decision for the parole board?
I would imagine it would. I mean, subconsciously, it's going to affect them. But they have not the ultimate decision because that's with the governor. But they will look at that. They will make their decision. Now, one thing, I think they might do this because it's a political hot potato right now. You know, they could have this hearing and say, well, let's come back in 6 months or a year when it all sort of tamps down and we're all not paying attention. And at that time, as a parole board is wont to do at times, then they let them out instead of having this ruling by the court going, okay, 50 to life, makes you eligible for parole, go to the parole board. The parole board lets them out. And you know, people that don't want them out are going to raise holy heck about it. So the parole board might think, let's just put it off a little bit. And maybe in a year, 6 months, a year, 2 years, we'll then revisit and we'll let them out then. But who knows with our parole board? They've done really strange things at times, so God knows what they're going to do.
Yeah, certainly not the end of this saga. We will continue to follow it. Always appreciate your analysis. That is KTVU's legal analyst, Michael Cardoza. Great to have you on, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks, Alec. Take care.
And you can find extensive coverage on the Menendez brothers case up at our website. It's westcoastwrap.com. Our online coverage there includes a detailed timeline that spans back to the 1990s of this case. All right, we turn now to dramatic testimony today from the prosecution's star witness in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The music mogul's former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, took the stand in a New York courtroom and cried as she told the jury that Combs abused and sexually exploited her for years. The R&B singer, who is pregnant, said Combs compelled her to take part in drug-fueled sex parties known as freak-offs, sessions with male prostitutes that could last for days. She said those parties happened at Combs' homes in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York. I talked earlier with TMZ's Michael Babcock about how Cassie painted a picture of a man who allegedly had incredible control over every aspect of her life.
He is the president of Bad Boy. She's signed to the label, so he is her boss. He is this, even 15 years ago, is this massive figure in the music industry who has an incredible amount of power. So there was clearly a difference in power dynamic here. And she did feel like, although he might not have been twisting her arm, physically making her do these things, that she was really in a place where she wanted to do anything to make him happy, even at the expense of humiliating herself.
Attorneys for Combs have argued during opening statements that all of those sexual acts were consensual. Combs is charged with sex trafficking and racketeering in this case. Ventura is scheduled to return to the witness stand tomorrow. We turn now to a new wildfire in Arizona that's forcing evacuations tonight. The Greer fire started this morning in Apache County near Arizona's border with New Mexico. Several buildings have reportedly been destroyed already. Firefighters have not said whether those were homes. The fire's already grown to more than 3,600 acres in size, and everyone in the town of Eager is being told to evacuate. Evacuations are also underway in some parts of Springerville and South Fork. Investigators have not said what started this fire, but the weather is not favorable for fire crews. Wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour, really challenging those firefighters as they try to slow the spread of those flames. For more, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Rosemary Orozco, who is tracking a second straight day of red flag warnings in Arizona. Rosemary?
Yes, Alex, these conditions we typically see in fall, we're seeing in spring due to a very dry winter. Warm weather out there today. Phoenix coming at 90 degrees and winds that are sweeping across the state, bringing widespread red flag warnings to not only Arizona, but you can see into New Mexico as well. As we squeeze in a little bit closer, this advisory goes until 8 o'clock this evening, expecting improving conditions, lighter winds for tomorrow, as well as a little bit better when it comes to the humidity readings. And the forecast here showing you that fire danger is expected to come down, although Arizona is expected to remain fairly dry and warm in the coming days. Meanwhile, as we head over towards California, Los Angeles today is 72 degrees with plenty of blue sky, and the winds here kicking up for some of the mountains, including Riverside, San Bernardino, and San Diego, where a wind advisory goes until tomorrow, early tomorrow morning, and along the coastline here of San Luis Obispo, as well as Santa Barbara and Ventura counties. That will expire at 9 o'clock this evening. As we stretch back a little bit, take a look at what is going on over the entire West. It's been a soggy one over parts of the Pacific Northwest, and California had some rain over the weekend and Sierra snow, as well as thunderstorms continuing to fire off even today and at this hour, as sun will set in the next hour or 45 minutes or so, and that will help to bring those thunderstorms down. Meanwhile, San Francisco saw some blue sky this afternoon and temperatures beginning to rebound over the Bay Area. In areas over Seattle, still a soggy one and a cool one, 60 degrees, getting a little bit of a break tomorrow, but then the next system already coming ashore on Thursday over the Pacific Northwest will eventually sink into California and drop the temperatures as well as bring on the wind in time for the weekend. Here's a look at the next few days over areas of the Pacific Northwest, remaining cool and a bit wet on Thursday, upper 50s to low 60s. Meanwhile, over parts of California, going to see a little bit of a warming trend through Thursday before temperatures begin to dip once again into the weekend with breezy conditions returning. Los Angeles looking good into the coming days. A notable jump from Wednesday into Thursday, not much, but take a look at Friday, 82 degrees expected there. Intermountain West, Denver looking good, mild and partly cloudy in the low 70s, but again, stopping here in Phoenix, Arizona, once again, where temperatures will be on the up and up, low 90s with mostly sunny skies Thursday and Friday. Alex.
All right, Rosemary, thank you. 3 mountain climbers are dead after a fall in the Pacific Northwest. As Fox 13's Jennifer Dowling explains, one survivor in their group has been rushed out of the northern Cascades to a hospital in the Seattle area.
The Okanagan County Sheriff's Office tells us this was a party of 4 climbers from Renton, and the deadly fall happened on Sunday morning. They were in a popular spot for climbers about 16 miles west of Mazama. Specifically, they were climbing near the North Early Winters Spires. The Sheriff's Office sent us some pictures and video of the search and rescue operation, which included some assistance from the Snohomish County helicopter rescue team. We're told 4 climbers fell while descending a steep gully. 3 people died at the site, while a 4th member of the party was able to get out and summon help. The Sheriff's Office first got the call around 9 a.m. and managed to locate the climbers by about 1 p.m. That surviving climber was airlifted to Harborview in Seattle. No word on how bad that person was hurt. We spoke with the search and rescue coordinator, Christina Woodworth, to get a better sense of where the accident happened and how far they fell.
So it's a known rock climbing and snow climbing area outside of Mazama along State Route 20. There's a group of different rock spires, and so this party was climbing a couloir between the north and south early winter spires, and it is very steep and technical terrain. They were around 6,500 feet, and so they fell about 200 feet of pretty vertical terrain, along with probably several hundred more feet of kind of tumbling, more moderate terrain.
The Sheriff's Office says the presumed cause of the accident is an anchor failure while the group was rappelling. Woodworth wants to remind climbers, make sure you've built an adequate anchor for what you're doing. She also tells us they tend to see more search and rescue incidents this time of year because once Highway 20 opens in the spring, a lot more people visit the area for outdoor recreation. Reporting in the newsroom, Jennifer Dowling, Fox 13 News.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, big moves by two pro sports teams in the West tonight when we could see the A's break ground on their new Las Vegas stadium, plus the Trailblazers looking for a new owner.
I can push my foot on the pedal as hard as I want to, and I just can't. It truly is technology that will save lives.
Also tonight, cracking down on chronic speeders. We'll show you where devices will be put onto cars here in the West to limit how fast drivers can go.
If you act like a terrorist, you shouldn't be surprised if you are charged as one.
That's the message from U.S. Attorney Adam Gordon, delivered today in San Diego as he announced two suspected drug cartel leaders are facing narco-terrorism charges. The first in the nation narco-terrorism indictment comes after the Trump administration designated 8 Latin American crime groups as foreign terrorist organizations. Those suspects in the case are accused of moving massive amounts of fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin into the U.S. Investigators believe they were part of the Beltran Leyva organization, which operates out of Mexico. Those suspects could face life in prison if convicted. Coast Guard crews off California's coast say they stopped 3 boats trying to smuggle migrants into the country in less than 24 hours. All those busts happened Saturday near San Diego. The first case was early in the morning at Windansea Beach, involving 12 migrants from Mexico, Cuba, and Guatemala. 6 other people in their boat got away. And then that afternoon, Coast Guard crews stopped a boat carrying 3 migrants near Point Loma. About 3 hours after that, crews then stopped a boat in the same area that was carrying 8 suspected migrants. Well, another sign of immigration enforcement ramping up here in the West. A Texas-based airline, Aello Air, has started flights out of Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport in Arizona as part of a deal with the Department of Homeland Security and ICE to transport migrants. According to the website FlightAware, the airline's first deportation flight was yesterday. It flew to Alexandria, Louisiana, one of 5 locations where ICE conducts regular flights. Well, we may see the A's break ground on their new Las Vegas ballpark as early as next month. The Clark County Commission has approved land use permits for that project on the Strip. That makes a June groundbreaking possible. Work to clear the site is ongoing after that implosion of the old Tropicana casino there. The A's 33,000-seat ballpark is expected to open up in 2028. The team right now is playing temporarily at a AAA ballpark in West Sacramento. The Portland Trailblazers are up for sale tonight. The estate of Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen has begun the formal process of trying to sell the NBA franchise. His sister has been overseeing the estate since Allen died in 2018. The team is estimated to be worth over $3 billion. The family says all the money from the sale will go to charitable causes. A Northern California soccer club is getting ready now to face an international superstar on their home field. Tomorrow, the San Jose Earthquakes are playing against Inter Miami with Lionel Messi on the roster. Already, the media swarming the stadium and the Earthquakes for coverage ahead of the match. Team leaders say the frenzy is a win-win for everyone involved.
We have a long tradition of success in this market as a soccer club, but over the last couple of years, we've lost a little bit of attention in the marketplace. So I think this game will be a real plus and draw a lot of attention. So it's good for the league and it'll be good for the San Jose Earthquakes as well.
The city of San Jose is hosting a free concert tonight with global DJ icon Steve Aoki. This is all to amp up the city and soccer tourists ahead of this highly anticipated match tomorrow night. In Southern California, there are plans to build a movie studio next to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood to serve as the International Broadcast Center for the 2028 Olympic Games in the Los Angeles area. Construction is expected to get underway by this summer. It's being designed by a San Francisco-based architect who designed Chase Center, where the Warriors play. According to the LA Times, the studio and production facility will house hundreds of broadcasters from around the world who will cover the summer games. It would then be used as a film studio once the Olympic Games are over. Well, State Farm Insurance has been given the green light to raise home insurance rates for millions of Californians. Today, a judge said that request to raise rates by an average of 17% is fair and in the best interest of all Californians. Also, Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara announced that he has adopted this ruling, allowing those increases to take effect next month. State Farm says the rate increase is necessary as the company responds to roughly $7 billion in claims following those devastating wildfires in Los Angeles County earlier this year. Insurance industry expert Carl Sussman says while other insurers might increase their rates in the near future, it likely isn't related to State Farm's case.
I don't think any insurance company is going to want to throw their reputation in the toilet and say, we're broke, we need money just to get a few extra points.
The California Department of Insurance plans to hold another evidentiary hearing on these rate increases for State Farm coming up in October. Now, if they get a ruling there that reverses course, the rates would go back down and State Farm will refund the difference to customers who were paying more plus interest. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, technology that limits how fast you can drive. We'll explain where this is about to be used here in the West. In Washington, a new crackdown on bad drivers is underway that will limit how fast vehicles can travel. This is a live look here at traffic along Interstate 90 in Spokane. A bill just signed into law makes it possible to force chronic speeders to install a special device on their cars. Fox 13's Albert James shows us how the technology limits speed.
Behind this bill is, of course, a really simple goal, which is to save lives.
Under House Bill 1596 signed into law Monday afternoon, a person would have an intelligent speed assistance device installed on their car after getting their license suspended for reckless driving or excessive speeding, or if they've been ordered to have a device by a court. The device uses GPS technology to limit the car's acceleration so it can't go above the posted speed limit in the area it's in.
I can push my foot on the pedal as hard as I want to, and it just can't. It truly is technology that will save lives because it stops speeders in their tracks.
Democratic Prime Sponsor Mari Levitt says the law is a necessary step to curb a troubling increase in fatal accidents. State data shows fatal crashes have been on an upward trend since 2019, with a growing number of them involving speeding.
We're trying to save our neighbors from losing a loved one, or a parent from losing a child, or a child from losing a parent.
Levitt was particularly moved by a crash in King County last March that killed 38-year-old Andrea Smith Hudson and 3 children. Chase Jones, 18 at the time, was accused of causing the crash by driving well over 100 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone. He was sentenced to over 17 years in prison last month.
For our situation, 4 lives could have been saved with this technology.
Smith Hudson's father, Ted, says he thought it would take years for the bill to make it into law, and the families forever changed by the King County crash are relieved to see positive change come from tragedy.
I don't know how you move forward except just put one step in front of the other and try to make our streets safer any way that we can.
The BEAM Act, named after the lives lost last March, goes into effect in January of 2029. In Olympia, I'm Albert James reporting.
And that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. Before we leave, let's give you one last reminder, if we can, about the way you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering at our website, westcoastwrap.com. Hope you have a great night.